In this fourth tutorial, we'll go through some additional query capability within EnSight. We're going to take one of the 2D clips that we have here, this clip in X, and we're going to create a clip in Z based on it. So if I just right click on top of this and say clip in Z, we'll have a clip here that is initially kind of hard to see. So let me make it a different color and make it a bit thicker. Okay, what we've done is essentially intersected this clip at the Z location where my mouse was. Okay, now that we have a 1D clip, I can do a right click and query on a 1D clip. We can query the same or other variables. In this case, we'll keep it simple. We'll query the ftemp again. Now this is a query versus distance. Now I can drag this down and we can see that the query can update as we go. So let me just rescale the axes. And we can see here we have a better quantitative analysis of what that temperature distribution looks like as we traverse this particular 1D part. Now as the clip is the parent, we can move this left and right, so we can move it interior to the domain and that updates. We can also change time step to a different time step, say time step 35, and that will update it here as well. And again, so you can see we can very quickly interact with our data set and understand a bit more about the quantitative effects of, in this case, temperature within our domain. So that's a query versus distance. So we've shown you part constant query. We've shown you a query versus distance. The final one we want to show you is query over time. So we go back to our variables and look at our constants. We developed these different constants which were a function of this particular plane down here. Now the parent of these could be something else. Perhaps it could be the whole fluid domain or perhaps even the particles. But for simplicity, let's just assume we'll take these values as they are. We can actually select multiple of these with the Shift button, and we can do a right-click plot versus time. What EnSight's going to do is it's now going to traverse the time series from 0 to 50, and it's going to calculate those values and put them into a query and into a plotter for us automatically. This will take us a few minutes to do as we're going to go through all of the time domain gathering up those values. So I'll pause the tutorial here for a second. So here we have the min, max, and average as a function of time for this particular clip plane here. So let's go through and tidy up the graphs a little bit here. So we'll go over to plotters and queries. We'll turn off this first plot up here. We're not interested in that one. And we'll turn off the other two remaining. We'll use this one as our main graph here. And we'll simply drag and drop max and drag and drop mean onto the same curve. So here we can see the values of min, max, and average as a function of time for that particular clip plane. And again, that clip plane could be another part. It could be the whole fluid domain. It could be part of the particles. It's really up to you to choose, and that's quite wide open as to what that particular value is. You can see that the noise in the min level is actually quite large, whereas the noise in the max level is pretty minimal, and as a result the spatial mean is also very stable here as well. Now for these particular plotters, we can double click on the plotter and go through and start to adjust the values for the plotter, including the title. So we'll look at min, average, max on clip plane, and we can go to the axis specific. We'll leave time alone, and on the y-axis we'll put ftemp as our value. We can change around the size, the font, layout, tick marks, and so forth to the heart's content, and adjust colors and so forth in here as well. If you do a right click or a double click on the queries, you'll actually get up the query dialog, and this will allow you to change things like the actual color of the query that is displayed, as well as learn more about how that's been created. So in this case it was at maximum over time, and it is fmin as a query value. So those are two additional plotters and queries, one which is based off from distance, and then the other two are versus time. The one final note here to make in a time query, you have a marker bar here. This marker bar is actually the current time step. You can drag with the left mouse button this value back and forth to get a live update of the value. But once you let go, EnSight will actually update to that particular time step. Okay? So hopefully this will allow you to start to dive deeper into your data set and extract that information as a function of either time, distance, or as you query a value as you move that particular part, in this case a part constant query. And again, let us know if you have further questions or would like to see further information regarding queries in EnSight.